What if the boy who promised you'd never have to grow up was quietly erasing the boys who did? What if Neverland wasn't a playground outside time, but a trap built from one man's grief, where boys stayed forever young because the ones who started to change simply disappeared? Picture the Peter Pan. You remember the open nursery window, the shadow on the wall, a boy at your bedside whispering, "Come away and never grow up." Disney's Peter is mischief and stardust, a flying best friend who rescues you from bedtime and boring parents. But in the original book, written by J.M. Barrie, the man who invented Peter Pan, Peter is something else. He forgets you. He replaces you. And when the lost boys start to grow up, against the rules, Barrie writes that Peter thins them out. That single phrase is the crack in the pixie dust. And if you like stories where childhood classics have a darker original hiding underneath, you'll probably like the rest of what I make. So feel free to subscribe to Childhood Shadows. Because before Peter Pan was a cartoon, he was a confession. And before Neverland, there was a little boy standing outside his mother's bedroom door, listening to her cry for a dead child she loved more than him. Scotland, 1867. James Matthew. Barry is 6 years old. His older brother David is 13, handsome, athletic, and their mother's favourite. Then winter comes, the pond freezes, skates scrape across ice. David goes out the day before his 14th birthday, falls, hits his head, and dies. 1 minute there is a golden child, the next minute there is a coffin. Grief does not look like a movie. It looks like a door that stays shut. It looks like meals going cold on a tray. It looks like a house that learns to speak in whispers. James stands outside that bedroom door and hears his mother sobbing, and he understands something no 6-year-old should have to understand. The boy she loved is gone, and the boy who is left does not feel like enough. Then Margaret finds one strange comfort in the tragedy. David will never grow up. He will never leave her. He will be a boy forever, perfect, frozen, untouchable. At 6 years old, James realises he cannot compete with a dead brother who never disappoints. So he tries the only strategy a child can invent. He puts on David's clothes. He copies David's walk. He steps into his mother's room, small inside a jacket that still smells like the boy she lost. And for a split second, her eyes change. She thinks she sees David. That flicker, just a flicker, teaches James something terrifying. He gets the closest to his mother's love when he stops being himself. If Peter Pan feels inevitable after that, it is because it is. Barry grows up, but he never quite seems to arrive. He stays physically small, boyish, famously youthful looking. And emotionally, he circles the same wound. A mother who loved the idea of an eternal boy more than the messy reality of a living one. Then London gives him a stage for it. Kensington Gardens, the late 1890s. Barry meets Sylvia and Arthur Llewellyn Davies and their sons, George, Jack, Peter, Kikul and Nico. 5 boys with toy swords and endless imagination. Barry starts telling them stories, pirates, islands, flying babies, a boy who can slip out the window and never have to change. He turns the ordinary park into a portal. The boys call him Uncle Jim. He writes the games down. He sharpens them. He turns them into a play. 1904, Peter Pan, or The Boy Who Wouldn't Grow Up. The audience sees a nursery window and a boy who flies, and they fall in love with the fantasy, childhood without consequence. But here's the part that's easy to miss. Barry's story isn't just kids are free. It's kids are free because the window can be shut behind them. In the play, Peter closes the nursery window and bars it, so Wendy will think her mother locked her out, and she will have to come back to him. That's not rescue, that's isolation. And while the world is applauding, the real nursery starts to echo the script. Arthur dies in 1907, Sylvia dies in 1910. And suddenly, the 5 boys Barry used as inspiration are orphaned. Barry becomes one of their guardians. The Lost Boys are no longer metaphor. They live at his address. And then the real-life version of Neverland starts collecting bodies. George, the eldest, goes to World War I and is killed at 21. A boy who once played at Pirates dies in mud and artillery smoke. Michael, often described as the one Barry felt closest to, goes to Oxford. In 1921, he goes swimming with his closest friend, Rupert Buxton, near Sanford. They both drown. Their bodies are recovered, clasped together. Two young men, gone at 21, right at the age where boy turns into man. And Peter Llewellyn Davies, the boy whose name the world associates with Peter Pan, spends his adulthood haunted by it. He calls the play that terrible masterpiece. In 1960, he takes his own life by stepping in front of a train. You can call it coincidence, bad luck, a cluster of tragedies around one author and one family. But the text Barry wrote is sitting there quietly, telling you what he believed. Because Barry's Peter Pan is not Disney's Peter Pan. On the page, Peter is not warm. He is sharp. He is selfish. He is described with something almost inhuman, quick breathing, animal alertness, a body that seems made for slipping through cracks. And his mind is the true horror. Peter forgets everything. He forgets adventures the moment they are over. He forgets people the moment they are gone. He forgets Wendy when he returns and finds her grown. He even forgets Tinkerbell after she dies for him. Eternal youth comes with eternal amnesia. So imagine someone who can love you intensely for one afternoon and then wake up tomorrow with no memory of your face. That is Peter's curse. Not that he cannot grow up, that he cannot attach, he cannot build a life. He can only collect moments and discard the people inside them. And then comes the line that turns the whole story inside out. The boys on the island vary, of course, in numbers according as they get killed and so on, and when they seem to be growing up, Peter thins them out. Barry writes it like a casual aside, like it's normal, like it's just housekeeping. But read it again. When boys get older, Peter removes them. Neverland becomes a closed system. No parents, no future, an endless loop of games, and a reset button that erases the kids who don't fit the fantasy anymore. Which means Peter's promise, never grow up, is not a gift. It's a rule. And rules in Neverland are enforced. And suddenly, Captain Hook looks different too. Hook isn't just a villain with a fancy hat. He is time in human form. A grown man with scars and memory and regret, chased by a crocodile with a ticking clock inside it. Peter isn't really fighting Hook because Hook is evil. He is fighting Hook because Hook is what happens when you grow up. Neverland isn't just running from parents, it is running from time. That's why Peter can come back for Wendy's daughter, and then her daughter. Each generation looks out the window and thinks they have been chosen. They have not. They are next. So the nightmare of Peter Pan is not Captain Hook. It is the promise itself. Stay young, stay light, stay fun. Never grow, never remember, never become complicated. Because in Barry's story, the moment you start to become a real person, older, fuller, harder to control, you risk being thinned out. Peter can fly, but he cannot change. He cannot learn. He cannot hold love long enough for it to become real. He only loves you while you stay exactly what he needs. So the next time you see that green silhouette on a t-shirt, a stage poster, or a tattoo, remember what is hiding under the pixie dust. A boy trying to earn his mother's love by becoming his dead brother. A man turning real children into a fantasy he could control. And a flying child who keeps you only as long as you never grow. If you want more childhood classics cracked open to show the nightmare underneath, subscribe to Childhood Shadows. Tell me which innocent story you want next.